What's going on, everybody? This is Sasuke, and today we're going to be talking about
that big-ass bitch Ayana.
Embodying the form of a sort of futuristic Robin Hood, stealing from the powerful and giving back to her own people. Ayana's personal ideals are incorruptible, and while she may keep the company of mercenaries and killers, she does so for her own reasons. Her orchestrated fall from grace with the Hades division would lead her to Herrick's crew, where a war on the most powerful factions in the galaxy would put her skills to the ultimate test.
Yo, man, what are you doing in here?
Damn! Extra thick!
Just gonna go ahead and Aside from her unique ability to distract me from getting anything done in this game, Ayana's equipped with a trusty boarding anchor, which she can use in combat to control her enemy's movements and position them to her advantage. By holding down the ability key, Ayana can select a target that the anchor will snap to. Releasing the key will have the anchor latch onto that enemy, rendering them subject to Ayana's mercy. Once tethered, the ability graphic will appear, displaying the amount of tension required before Ayana can activate the ability's second phase, which yanks the target in her direction, smashing them into any object, NPC, or environmental hazard that might be between the two of them. The anchor's tension increases based on the length of the cord from the target. The cord has no length. The anchor's tension increases based on the length of cord from the target. The cord has no length limitation, so feel free to wrap and tangle this thing around as many objects as you want to speed up the tension process. The illuminated circles on Ayana's back also serve as a secondary visual notification that the anchor has reached maximum tension. When it's orange, that means they're ready to pull. Ayana's ability complements her weapon set and functions most efficiently with coordinated teamwork. Holding down the tether on an enemy such as an antagonist or an elite, and then waiting for teammates to initiate a grab, will allow them to secure the kill in safety with the confidence that you'll pull the target. You can also do this to acquire Olaf yourself, slapping an anchor on an enemy, taking a lap around a few objects, and then closing in for the kill with the knowledge that you've got your bases covered. Try and experiment with the anchor. Get comfortable with the attachment range and the distance before a pull's ready. This tool may seem simplistic, but has great potential in terms of crowd control. Its target acquisition accuracy also makes it a viable option while on the move. Tagging enemies, building tension, and CCing are critical to her playstyle. You can also think of it as a safety net when engaging in PvP, attaching the anchor beforehand and using it as a get-out-of-jail-free card to confirm enemy placement. You should note that being put in an injured state will release the anchor and leave you vulnerable. As of right now, the only raiders capable of escaping the anchor are Ginebra, Herrick, and Mika, whose abilities actively transform their physical state, and as a result, break free from the anchor. Ayana makes use of mortar rifle variants that each differ in projectile velocity, function, and capacity. Her first weapon is the Magnet, a mine launcher with a decent arc and a 4-round magazine. The mines placed last about 6 to 8 seconds, so they can't exactly be used to guard specific sections of the map for very long. I know, I wish I could leave them by engineer terminals too, but they still serve a purpose of denying or discouraging route traversal from enemies. The magnet damage output capabilities against large ad groups can be quite effective, and her anchor ability working in tandem can lead to destructive combinations. Mines can also be left in Ayana's wake by clicking or holding the alternative fire button. I like to use this in tandem with the anchored movement speed card, leaving behind a trail of destruction, but more on cards later. As a starter weapon, the magnet gets the job done, and each mine's radius creates a forgiving firing pattern. Her second weapon is the Machilium, a rare variant of her mortar rifle that fires projectiles which then erupt into a wall of flame. These flames can apply damage over time, and significantly damage anyone that chooses to walk through the inferno. Placing these rounds in front of spawn points, important objectives, and even behind Ayana as she runs makes for deadly effect. Coordinating the wall of flame and pulling enemies into it is crucial for amplified damage. And much like her first weapon, the Magnet, this weapon's great at locking down areas and discouraging advances. The third weapon of choice is the Legacy, a mortar rifle that fires implosion-based artillery shells that pull enemies towards the center of the mine before applying explosive damage. I wasn't a big fan of this gun initially and didn't see the potential in its use until I spent more time with it. The strengths of this weapon come from its ability to directly manipulate the enemy movement, outright shoving them in various directions without any hope of recovering once the onslaught begins. This weapon allows fellow raiders to safely move into crowds and melee any enemies affected by the magnet. Think of it as her anchor ability, but on steroids. It can be built towards crit later on, but early uses will involve crowd controlling enemies and slowing their advances. It should be noted that all of Ayana's weapons can cause self-harm if activated while in proximity of an enemy, so be careful about where you fire it. When it comes to character cards, I haven't exactly locked down a favorite build for Ayana. I jump between some of her anchor tension cards and even use mortar damage amplification. What I found myself drawn to most often is the leeward character card, which increases Ayana's movement speed while tethered to an enemy by 10% vanilla and 30% max. This speed boost lets me sprint past lines of enemies, deploying trailed mines as I go to make a trail of destruction. For the faction card, I'm using Spiral of Violence, which amplifies the weapon's damage by 25% after using a finisher on an enemy, and it can max out at 60% with 5 stacks. This creates sort of an ebb and flow between dropping mines and killing the attached enemy with melee for the finale, then prepping the cycle to go again. Ayana's cards each complement her playstyle, and experimentation with them will lead to what's best for you. Ayana is an antagonist you won't see very often, but that doesn't mean she's defenseless as an evil minion. Raiders move fast and in groups, so taking advantage of a tethered target can prove a lot more difficult than your typical ad. Making use of the Legacy's CC properties will most likely be your best bet. If you can wrap the cord around enough objects and snag an opponent at the inopportune moment for the Raiders, this can leave them exposed for your AI minions to do the dirty work. And the Anchor's push damage doesn't go underestimated either. Efficient use of her tool can catch a Raider off guard for an instant grab. Players aren't usually expecting crowd control elements as part of their melee gamble, and this element of surprise can be a big help. If playing Ayana, try manipulating their efforts from a distance, pushing them into objects, downing them with the pre-placed mortar shots, or leaving mines in your wake as a thirsty war dog chases you. Think smart, play safe, and avoid letting them get too close to you unless you've got a plan in place. I can see Ayana being a raider that doesn't click with everyone initially, but her cooperative capabilities, ability to assist and save teammates, and objective simplification can change the way you approach your adventures. That's going to be it for this video. I hope this gave you some insight into the saucy Sky Pirate and helped you figure out whether she's right for you or not. And if you do play Ayana, I'd love to hear some of your guys' builds in the comment section below, because I haven't really locked something down for myself. And as always, I'll see you all on the Broken Planet.
Reality slips far away, fiction comes alive, we start to play. Hope is no more behind the closed door as we drift away from where we were before. Hope and hopelessness become one, it's all meaningless, we've already begun. Yup, we are all one and the same, never opposites, we play the same games. So I listen to the world and right from wrong, stay focused so I can stay strong. If you ever wonder why I'm trapped inside, it's probably just because I told a pack of lies. Maybe a dream, maybe it was pride, maybe for myself I often wonder why. Until our very last breath, we're running after life, trying to beat death.
Walking in line between hope and despair, running from the truth, but it's already here.